Last year was a little concerning for me because my history has spanned creative and media, and I felt like media had taken over and creativity was taking a back seat, and the conversation about data-driven media had taken over. So I felt like I had to keep pulling people back to what's the real reason we're here and what's this all about. So I was a little challenged last year. I'm a little encouraged this year because I feel like the conversation has evolved to where I would like it to be, which is what's the intersection of data and creativity, and how can we use data to inform creative in a way that makes it even better and even more impactful. I'm really excited about what's winning this year. You know, when I look at the Trip to Mars experiential campaign, when I look at the next Rembrandt, those are the intersection of innovation connected to creativity in a way that made the creative even better. And those two things being recognized the way they're being recognized already, I think is very encouraging. Because it's not about innovation for innovation's sake or technology for technology's sake. It's how do we leverage technology and data and innovation to make creative even more meaningful, relevant, and connected to people. I think the way the industry is changing to make the best use of data is it used to be a media thing. Data primarily was relegated to it's a way to do media analysis and target audience analysis and a post-evaluation of how things did well. I see the shift being creatives being much more aware as they work frankly with more and more digitally oriented media partners to make the best out of their media and platform is how do I use data to inform the strategy that gets me to a great creative idea. I think that's the change. I think the hurdles is if we get overly focused on data input and outcome versus intuition. Like it's funny, we had a session last night, we're working on a campaign right now, and we had to look at rough cuts and some casting and sets, and I immediately looked at the recommended lead for this campaign. I was like, no, it's a gut reaction. Yes, he met all the specs, he would probably test very well, blah, blah, blah. It's a feeling. And I think I never want to lose the ability that great creatives have to just feel something and know it in their gut and then be able to argue with their gut and leverage. Usually you can do, when you really do well, you can leverage data and your gut and make an argument together on why something's either right or wrong. So I think that inherent creative instinct that's inbred in a lot of people in this industry, I never want data to negate or overcome. I started in the days of integrated agencies, I watched it all split apart, and the feeling is it's coming together, and it's almost as a result of the divergence you're saying. You can't have programmatic without great platforms, and great platforms are not successful for clients without great creativity. So they inherently have to come back together, and I'm feeling that. We have meetings, it's funny, I went into a Twitter meeting, to be specific, and they had already seen my creative and incorporated into an idea they were recommending. I'm like, we haven't even done that creative yet, how'd you know that? Well, the creative team met with them already. That's what has to happen. I think the opportunity on mobile is the great frontier, right? Due to the sheer proliferation of mobile devices. We've got to figure out the format. I think the huge opportunity, and again, we're talking to a lot of partners around here as we're here, speaking to the guys from Snapchat the other day, when you can give me geo data combined with demographic data, combined with sentiment and preference based on what people have talked about and what they've said, that's the kind of targeting I've never been able to do before. So now the question is, if you can define that person for me, can I be meaningful and motivating enough in that format to really impact them from a perspective, from a behavior? So that's going to be the challenge creatively. But I think the sort of the perfect storm is kind of coming together right now. So I think this is going to be a very telling year. This year to next year we should talk again because I want to see if we crack that nut. That's going to be interesting.
Kind of feels to me that it's almost like these three districts, which is almost a metaphor for the industry, in that you've got the creatives, the media companies and the technology companies all trying to say the same thing, yet not really knowing how to work with each other, not really